Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Expert to Authority show. My name is Simone Vincenzi, and I'm your host. And this is the show for coaches, speakers, and trainers who want to grow their businesses while making an impact in the world. And today we are going to talk about LinkedIn, lead generation, making money with LinkedIn, getting sales with LinkedIn. And I'm really excited about this interview because I'm interviewing the founder of a software that I've been using since 2019 for a number of years that brought tons of money to my business. And I want to share some of the knowledge with you of some of the things that also we're doing behind the scene with the software, but also understanding LinkedIn lead generation and what works right now. And to tell you a bit more about our guest today, he's someone who has built, scaled, and sold multiple companies, and is on a mission also to take his next ventures to $100 million in annual recurring revenues. He's the founder of MeetAlfred.com, which is a leading LinkedIn automation platform, and the CEO of the Outbound Group, which is an investment firm focused on building and acquiring B2B SaaS companies. And he started in exiting a multi-million dollar poker entertainment company and then lost it all. And then he came back even stronger with this new software company and generating more than 10 million in annual recurring revenues. So welcome to the show, Martin Martinez. Martin, welcome back. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you so much for having me. Thank you.
So first of all, I'd love to start a conversation on LinkedIn lead generation and what makes LinkedIn such a special platform to get clients and to get leads. Let's start from this.
Well, look, the simple answer is that LinkedIn is the only business social network. So you have Facebook, Instagram, and all these other platforms, but from a B2B perspective, there's only one. So it it has cornered the market. So if you want to find people that are active or that are on a social network that's business based, LinkedIn is your only choice. So some people use emails, some people use different things to reach out to different people, but at the end of the day, LinkedIn is where everybody's at.
I agree with you. And also I found that there is no other platform like LinkedIn where it allows you to target actually who you want to target, like to specifically connect with the right people, with the people that you want to connect with.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, look, their search capabilities, whether it's the basic LinkedIn search or Sales Navigator or the Recruiter platform, they're pretty sophisticated. You're only as good as the data, so you got to question whether the people update their profiles and they really keep it up to date. But that's a secondary discussion. But as far as access to the right target audience, it's incredible. The narrowing, the nailing down of the people that you can find there is really, really good. And then you just got to learn, okay, are these people active on the platform or not? Because although people, apparently 3% of the users on LinkedIn are the only ones that post. So 97% are either looky looks or they're not on not online. So it's just a bit of a trick as to finding out who's active and who's not. But yeah, it's a great search platform and you can find amazing leads.
Well, I think this is a great piece of information though, because a lot of people they go on LinkedIn and of course they see their feed, which is full of posts, and they think that everyone posts on LinkedIn. So only 3% actually post.
Well, that's the latest data I read. It could be higher. I know that they're pushing for different type of content, so short videos and long form and stuff like that. So, but at the end of the day, it's almost like every other influencer platform. It's some people, put a lot of investment in and time in building an audience, and some people don't. Somebody like myself, and I'm busy, so I'm not on LinkedIn all the time, even though I run a LinkedIn automation company and many CEOs and other professionals, they're just busy working. So it's just a matter of using the platform, finding out who's really active and who's not. And if there's education to be had from influencers or people that have a voice, great. And different people use it for different things. Although it's a business social network. Some people don't use it for socializing; they really use it for lead generation and trying to make sales. And some other people are just happy to share content. There's all sorts.
Yeah, that's what I use it for, is for lead generation, and my content is also part of the lead generation strategies that we use. What inspired you to create Meet Alfred? Because it's a software that I absolutely love. I've been using for a number of years. It brought tons of business to me, and in particular, helped me with all the things that I was doing manually. I automated did about 80% of those. What inspired you to create Meet Alfred?
Look, for me, it's a typical story of scratching my own itch. I was running a consulting firm at the time, and I was generating. Oh, I didn't know much about LinkedIn at the time, to be honest. This is about 2015. And I launched this little consulting firm. We had about 16 different professionals that were running the company, and to generate leads, we did advertising in different ways and so on. But I got introduced to LinkedIn as a lead generation platform, and I learned all about how to do the outreach, the positioning, and everything else. But what I found is it was a very tedious process. It's very manual, cut and paste, personalized, and so on. So I started looking at whether there was some kind of automation. But before I did that, I was actually using VAs. We had 15 people, so we had a lot of outreach going on. We were generating a lot of business, but even the VAs were pretty overwhelmed. Like I would have one VA for 3 people at the most, and so on. So I looked at tools that were available at the time. There wasn't much. There were all Chrome extensions at the time, and I'm not a technical person. I don't have a technical background. I can't code to save my life. So I reached out to some people to see if I can replicate these other products, but do it in a more user-friendly fashion. Just as a basic user, I didn't want to learn code or how to use these fancy tools. I just wanted to have a very sensible and easy to use platform. So I found myself putting a project on Upwork. I found a gentleman out of India who had just created a product that I was looking for somebody else that didn't pay him. And I bought that piece of software for $200, and the rest is history. So that's where it all started.
That's insane. For $200, that was a starting point.
That was the starting point. He had been unpaid by the other client that they had, and he had done pretty much 80-90% of what I was looking for. For $200, I just said I'd love to take it and use it for internal purposes only. And then we built a relationship, and I kept on adding more features, and it became one of our founding team.
That's crazy. I guess you can say it was a good ROI there.
Definitely a good ROI. But again, you got to understand it. That wasn't the mindset at the moment. I wasn't launching a business. The way
Right.
this came about was, yeah, it was really working well. We were generating tons of leads, and at the time, you could send up to 1,000 invites per day, so no problems at all. And what was happening is that our clients in the consulting company, they were saying, "Oh, well, look, you reached out to us on LinkedIn. How do you do that? Can you teach us?" And I said, "Look, we got this piece of software. You can use it for yourself." So we were giving it to our clients for free because it was just a Chrome extension. We weren't charging for it, and they were generating business. So all of a sudden, 6 months, 9 months go past, and we looked at the Chrome store, and there was 6,000 people using this platform. And I said, "Hey, hang on a minute,
I
is
can
there a
make some money
business
out
here?"
of this.
And so it was so popular from the very beginning, and it went viral because there weren't that many tools. Kind of, we were one of the early entrants into the market. We're probably the second or third tool, and then it just said, "Okay, well, let's focus on this software company, this consulting business, which is a pretty hard grind." And we turned on payments that it was very inexpensive at the time, and it blew up. It just started taking off, and here we are today.
And you created, like, as I mentioned at the beginning, like when we were having a chat earlier, I tested probably another 6 or 7 LinkedIn automation tool, and Meet Alfred for me is by far the best
Oh,
for
thank you, thank you.
user interface, the functionalities, and everything that it offers. I think that what you really thought about how people use it, which sometimes is not as common for software companies. They think about
Absolutely. I
what do
mean,
I want
normally
to
you
add
get the
instead of
engineers.
how
If you
actually someone is going to use it.
exactly. So my advantage is that I can't engineer, I can't code. So I say, I want this, make this, and then they go and do it. And it's been a process, me trying to work with a person or a team now that speaks a different language. They speak code. I don't know anything about code, but I know what a customer wants. I know what to build, and as I said, because I'm a user, I know what I personally want, and I felt like if I had this tool, I could do this, and so on. And then became all of the user requests and said, "Hey, can you do email automation?" So we were the first ones to do that. "Hey, can you do multi-channel?" We were the first ones to do that. "Hey, can we access our LinkedIn data?" "Yep, let's have a LinkedIn CRM." We were the first ones to do that. So it's been the inception was really it was a personal use case, but then over time we just listened to the customer.
Yeah, okay, and you've done it incredibly well. I gotta say, happy customer here. Uh,
Thank you. I'm
I
glad.
want to. There are a few things that I would like to tap on for the rest of this interview. For everyone that is watching or listening, I want to talk about LinkedIn automation, LinkedIn lead generation, what's working right now, and I would love to start addressing some of the concerns that there are because I know when people think about LinkedIn automation, they will say, well, but is it not something that LinkedIn doesn't want? Is it not something that LinkedIn doesn't like? Is my account gonna get in trouble? And you definitely have a lot of data on this, and you're running this type of software. What's your answer, and what do you find to be the best practices with LinkedIn automation?
Well, look, I'll be completely honest. We've been running this company since 2016. We've had our struggles with LinkedIn, looking to shut things down, and the way you got to look at LinkedIn is that don't think of it as a negative. Think of it as a positive. And let me explain what I mean by that. They have a product which is amazing. They have a monopoly, which is great for them, and they're trying to protect their customers, which is totally understandable. What they I think have come to understand is that people want more out of the platform. They see the value of the platform, but it's very limiting. So what they've done over time is built a series of restrictions. Because automation was very, very free when I started. I could have done 1,000 invites per day, no problems at all, no detections, no issues, and so on and so forth. And over time, it's been reduced to quite a fraction of that. But you got to think about it, why they're doing that. Is that because people don't like it to get spammed by email? They don't like to get, SMSs and phone calls from random people. Same thing happens on LinkedIn, and they want to protect the users. So please look at it from their point of view. My opinion of it all is twofold. Number one is you need to think of LinkedIn as a kind of a virtual business networking platform, okay, where you will be able to go and meet people, engage with them, and potentially, hopefully, you can do business with them. But if you use it for spamming with no interest in building relationships, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you don't need automation to do that. You could actually do that manually. You could spam people manually by just, constantly cutting and pasting and all of these things. All software does is save you time. The solution that we're providing is not LinkedIn automation. It's just saving you time in doing this particular manual task. So what I say to people is, first and foremost, think about your profile and how you present yourself. Don't worry about automation. Don't worry about outreach just yet, but think of that as the first thing. And if you invest yourself in your profile, think of it as a landing page. When people see you, what's their impression? What does your photo look like? Are you at the beach, drinking beer, or are you in a suit? Just little things like that people miss all the time. But you make an investment in your profile and create it almost like as a landing page, and it just makes a good impression to begin with. So that's number one. Number two, you got to really know your target audience. Like, does your target audience live in LinkedIn? Do they actually have an account? Are they active or not? And a lot of people miss that point. They just go search and whatever, and then okay, let's do this outreach, because they're treating LinkedIn as if it was email, where you used to be able to send and thousands upon thousands of emails. Or even Google now restriction on how many emails you can send per day. So the second thing is targeting. Really, really focus and don't look at quantity over quality. It's all about quality. So if you have a quality profile and you have a quality target audience that you've narrowed down, you've done 60, 70% of the work. The last piece, which I think a lot of people get this wrong a lot, is that their approach. It's how do you approach these people? How would you like to be approached for doing business? And people start blasting people, hey, I've got this wonderful product here, let's set up, I want to sell it to you on the connection request. It's like, I wouldn't even answer to you in a networking event. Why would I do it on LinkedIn? So again, you got to have it, it's got to be quality across the board. It's got to be quality profile, quality targeting, and quality messaging. But the messaging is not about sales. It's about building a relationship, building a network, because not everybody's ready to buy your product today. So why not just connect with people in a professional and friendly way, provide some value, maybe with your content or maybe with some things that that they could be seen as useful, and let them come to you. I actually think of LinkedIn as an inbound platform rather than outbound platform, because if you do the right thing, if by yourself and your prospective clients, they'll come to you when they're ready. So I know that's probably not the thing that most people want to hear, because they just want to blast people out and see how many sales again. But it's a long-term game. And I'll give you one example. I have a client, can't remember her name right now. If I remember, I'll say it in the interview. But she only uses our platform. Out of all the hundreds of pictures we've got, she only uses our platform for personalized automated greetings. Now, what is that? It's like every time somebody has a birthday, every time somebody changes a job, every time somebody has, done something on the platform, we get a notification, and then she can send an automated request. She gets more business out of that because of the way she approaches that relationship. Saying happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the messaging is, to be honest, but she's built a model that only using one feature, she's generating a tremendous amount of business because it's passive. It's like people are coming to her rather than her going to people. And again, it's a hard thing to say because most people just think, okay, I can blast people and then I'm going to work on these percentiles like they think of email, but that's just not the way it works on LinkedIn. So hopefully that's valuable.
It definitely was really helpful because, in particular, addressing the first concern is like, is this compliant? Does it work with LinkedIn? Will my account get blocked or not? I actually had, and I'm very upfront with this. I actually had my LinkedIn account suspended twice, but it was suspended because I was abusing it. I was
There
sending
you go.
I was sending 200 messages a day. I was
Yeah, there you
sending
go.
300 connections requests a day. One, I couldn't keep up on those.
Right.
Number one,
Yeah.
right? Because then people respond.
Right.
Number two,
How do
then
you track all those conversations?
right, and then and that happened the first year because I treated it exactly like I was treating emails. I was treating exactly like cold emails and really spamming everyone. And then I got my lesson. I was like, no, I don't want to lose my LinkedIn profile. And since then, I have the platform, and the way that I look at it is connecting and curating an audience of my ideal clients and starting that conversation with automation and continuing it manually. So I will have a small number of connection requests to a curated list that I find. And then from there, I will have a conversation starter, and if they respond, then invite them to maybe an event that I'm doing, or like a mastermind that we're having, or a call. That depends on the kind of relationship that I want to build with that particular individual. And I gotta say that since then, what was that, 5 years since I've been doing that, this new approach, not once I've ever had a problem, and not even had a problem with my LinkedIn profile. So as you mentioned, it's not
That's the
about
formula.
spamming.
You've actually just explained the formula. It's not about spamming. It's about building relationships. And what I want to kind of highlight to your audience is that you can do all of that manually. Like I can tell you, if you actually aggressively use LinkedIn manually, you're going to get some kind of warning. People just assume that it is the software, and it is not. It is the volume and the approach. Because now for example, if you contact someone and you're not being genuine or you're not being nice, they can say, "I don't know this guy
Yeah.
or this lady." And then the more you get of those, the more of a detection they're going to get out of LinkedIn by saying, "Hey, this guy is a spam." So I think the negative experience that you had, which is had your account temporarily suspended, gave you an opportunity for you to rethink your approach. Some people just don't know that from the get-go, and then they blame the product when they're actually abusing the platform, regardless of whether you're using automation or not. You're abusing the platform. And there's lots of terms and conditions that LinkedIn has. And one of them is you don't spam people. And whether you do it manually or not, it's still spam, if you know what I mean.
So, talking about the right approach, I'd love to continue this conversation because we understood about what not to do. What have you found? So, you already gave an example of the client that used the automation to send automated greetings in
Mhm.
particular in certain milestones that people will have. Have you seen either campaigns that you have done for yourself or clients that you have that worked particularly well? And why do you think they work particularly well?
I'm going to take it back, and this might sound boring, but I'm going to take it back to what I mentioned a few minutes ago. The people that are successful on our platform, and I would take away our platform. The people that are successful on LinkedIn are doing three things right. Number one is their profile is on point. They really know how to sell themselves on a virtual platform. The second is that they're targeting very, very accurately. And they know that these people are actually on LinkedIn and active. And three, they're using an approach that, as I said, is more inbound than outbound. Now, the outbound part is the connecting, starting a conversation, But a lot of people are putting content out, and they're, value creators in that way. And that generates a ton more business. Now, if you're not that person that can create this amount of content, that hasn't got a high level of expertise, you can still be successful on LinkedIn. You just have to take a slightly different approach. What does your company have that's unique? What can you present of value to the customer that is going to potentially buy your product, that you can give it to them now for nothing? How do you build that rapport? And again, even if you go to a business networking event, there's some people that are awkward there, that shake their hands funny, and they dress funny, and they don't look at you in the eye. Like, that happens in real life. The same thing is happening on LinkedIn in a virtual world. There is no difference between the two. The real world and the virtual world are exactly the same. The way you approach somebody on the street, or in a meeting, or in a business event, or whatever, is the same approach that you're going to take on LinkedIn. And that's irrelevant of the automation that you use. So I don't have like an answer that is this specific tool tip kind of thing to use. Different people use it for different things. So I'll give you an example. Security culture, major security company based out of Australia. They got offices all over the world. They used this for a pilot. They had over 100 people using our platform over I think it was a 4-month period. And that's because they wanted to invite and present people to go to their event in Las Vegas. Las Vegas, massive event that they host over there. It's a major conference, and not everybody can attend. And not everybody can attend from all the different regions. So what they did is they divided the teams into different regions to connect with people on LinkedIn, let them know that this virtual event as well as live event was happening, and that they would love them to participate. And then that's all there was. They, if I'm not mistaken, over a period of 4 months, if I don't remember, the pilot was around 3 to 4 months, they generated over 15,000 leads. They generated 50 tickets to a very high ticket event in Las Vegas where people had to fly in, and they had attendees over 10,000 people. And that was 90% was LinkedIn. So it can work, but that was a kind of an event-driven strategy that they were saying, hey, we got this event coming. This is what's happening. We would like to teach you more about our product, this and that and that. Cost you nothing. Why don't you join? And it was a tremendous success. Different people use it for different things. So you go that extreme, and then you go the extreme of somebody just using it for automated reading. So anything in between. But again, just to kind of give some additional value to the people, is just focus on, see if you can turn LinkedIn into an inbound tool. Now, it might not happen to everybody. It might be difficult for some, but again, if you strategize within your business what you can create as value add tools, or PDFs of content, or strategic, whatever it is that you have, if you can provide that and plant a seed in that prospect, that eventually when they need your product, you're going to be top of mind. That's the holy grail of LinkedIn. But again, some people don't use it like that, and I'm being honest. Some people just blast people out, and they're just looking at conversion rates. It's like, okay, it's like putting an ad on Google. If I put X amount of ads and I put X amount of dollars, some people are going to click, they're going to go, they're going to fill in the form, and blah 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 blah, and then you get the return. Different strategies, different horses for courses.
Yeah, I first of all resonate with the event strategy, because we got by using manual and automation, we got more than 1,000 registrations for a waiting list for an event that we run every year in the UK. So one of my businesses is called the Speaker Summit and Awards. So we do a speaker awards for professional speakers in the speaking industry. And also we do a summit where we connect them with bureaus, agents. So we know that this is exactly what they want. And we will contact them and say, hey, we have this event. Would you be interested in it? Let me know, and I'll send you more information. So there is never a link in the messages that we send, because for me, a link is a conversation stopper. It's not a conversation starter. And also, I don't have their permission to send them the link, but I can ask, hey, we got this. Would you be interested in it? Let me know. If this is not for you, we should great rest of the day. And we never had a complaint on that kind of message, but we had more than 40% response rate from the people that were connected with us. And then if we had then people that register, for example, on the LinkedIn event that we use, then we will set up an automation for everyone that is registered to remind them to come and say, hey, thank you again for registering. I just wanted to remind you that we have this on this day. Here is the link, by the way, to attend the call. Make sure I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And often there is, oh, thank you for the reminder. So there is a context in which we send it. And these are the kind of messages that I found because I tested with different campaigns. And some of them I stopped them because people was like, hey, stop sending me these messages. I'm like, okay, wrong message. And others where
Absolutely.
people were like, oh, thank you for this. Send me more information. Love to know more. But as you mentioned, it's about the curation of the audience, how relevant becomes the message, and also to use it as a conversation starter, not as a conversation stopper. Like there is not a link in the first
And
place.
look, you can't do a sale if you don't start a conversation, right? It's pretty basic. And some people stop, get that first step wrong where they're trying to pitch. You haven't even, this guy has or girl has not even responded. Like you haven't built any rapport. They don't know who you are. They don't know you from a bar of soap. You haven't shared any value. Why should they even listen to you, right? So I mean, every time I get a phone call from a random number, if I pick up, which I often don't, but let's say if I pick up and they tell me they're from a real estate agent, I just, I hang up. I don't even bother telling them go away. And the same thing happens with LinkedIn. So again, unfortunately, we live in such a fast-paced world that people just don't have patience, and they also have targets and sales and stuff like that. I find that LinkedIn is a snowball. And what happens is you start very slow, you start building an audience, you start building your connections, you start building rapport, and over time, and it could be very quick, it could be as quickly as 3 months, but sometimes it takes years where you're building a profile, you're becoming an authority, you're talking to your audience, and then they come to you. And some people just need sales on the first day or the first month, and it's just unrealistic. And we have lots of customers that come in and try it out. This didn't work. What didn't work was your entire approach. All we did is automate what you
You're
would have
blaming it
done.
on my software, but actually it would have not worked even if you did it manually.
If you did it any which way, it doesn't matter which tool you use or whether you did it manually, you would have been, dead in the water. But again, it's a question of patience and a question of expertise. Some people are just not great salespeople. I mean, I'm not a great salesperson. That's not my profession. So I can't be telling salespeople what to do. But it's just a matter of, I think if you have a little bit of patience, if you invest in this platform called LinkedIn, you will be successful. As long as your audience is there, you will be successful.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, 100%. And the reason why I moved completely to LinkedIn after the pandemic is because my primary platform before was Facebook. And then my Facebook account, my Meta account completely got hacked. And I lost, completely deleted my account, lost everything, couldn't find a way to get it back. Was making about a quarter of a million, like 250K a year, just organically from a Facebook profile, because I used to run an event company and we were running about 100 events a year. And all the people that I had connected with my Facebook profile, they were actually real people that attended the event. So they saw me. I had a relationship with them. And that has been over 10 years. And so when that happened, I was like, what am I going to do now? And after a few moments where I had to get myself together because it was a big hit, then I said, okay, well, I got LinkedIn. Fortunately, I had a mailing list. I could keep the business afloat with a mailing list. And I was like, okay, let me focus on LinkedIn. And Meet Alfred was a big part of me rebuilding my audience, getting connecting with the right people again, and so that I totally agree with you. You focus on LinkedIn, you get a great return. I'd love to know. There is one more question I want to ask, and then I want to talk a couple of features as well of Meet Alfred. But we talked about the opening message. That have you found some opening messages that worked better than others? Because I think that when people are stuck, it's just the first step. It's like, okay, but what do I even write to that person? And take automation out of the equation. Like, even if I don't have to automate it, what do you find a good opening messages that get accepted looks like? If you have any information on this.
Right, absolutely. We we have tons of data about this, and although we don't pry in people's messages in their campaigns because we don't have access to it, we can see what's working and what's not working. Over the 8 years that we've been operating, I can tell you that there's been a transition, and I think it has been because of the proliferation of people using LinkedIn as a sales platform, and it has come from Sales Navigator. And let me kind of explain what I mean. Originally, LinkedIn made all their money on the recruiter platform, people trying to promote jobs and getting, potential employees. Over time, they actually introduced Sales Navigator. Now, Sales Navigator, just to give you a little bit of background, it was a tool that somebody else created. It was a tool that was a Chrome extension. I don't remember the exact same name of the tool. It was a tool that Mark Cuban, the famous shark from Shark Tank, was an investor of, and they gave you access to all of your data, okay, through this Chrome extension. And it became so successful that instead of actually like buying them out and getting that in and whatever, they shut them down through the terms and conditions, and they took the entire model and built Sales Navigator around. So they can be a bit scrupulous, unscrupulous, I should say, Microsoft now. And that's where the Sales Navigator came from. Now, when it comes to messaging, there used to be a time where your messaging, especially your connection request, made a big difference because of the language, the approach, the tone that you used, and so on and so forth. I can tell you that I'm finding more and more successful people sending connection requests without any single word in it. Just a plain, just connect, and that's it. No text, no nothing. Now, how do you achieve a high conversion rate? Well, there's a couple of ways. Number one is to have your profile on point where it speaks to the person that's actually looking at you. There's no message. Oh, somebody sent me a connection request. They're not saying anything. Who are they? You build curiosity actually by not saying anything. So when they click on your face, you got to have a good profile. Your headline should actually speak about what the value you provide. The rest of your profile just should sing in a way. Then once they connect, it's a basic thank you. It's a basic welcome to my network. I love to discuss things with you. But it's not even that approach. It's just really more of a welcoming message. It's like you meet somebody. It's you get someone's eye in a meeting, and then you say, hey, how are you? And you shake their hand, and that's the introduction. It's as simple as that, and you can replicate that on LinkedIn. Beyond that, it's more about the people that are most successful are the ones that are providing value, but not necessarily through messaging. They're just providing value through their feed. They're posting things every other day or on a regular basis. And then the people are building that curiosity about you, and they're also building that muscle memory of, oh, this person has provided this person provided this. They haven't asked me for anything. So that's a great approach. When you're actually talking about messaging beyond that connection request, which I believe right now the best is just not to write anything, just to send a connection request, let your profile speak for you. The next messaging is just a welcoming messaging. And after that is really more about these automated greetings, random pieces of content that says, hey, we wrote this article. I'm not sure if you're interested. I thought to share it. Let me know if it's of any value. If not, no problems at all. Like really that soft approach. But as I said to you earlier, the key to LinkedIn is the snowball effect. If you start small and you build and you build and you build, and all of a sudden you have 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people in your network, and you're doing this on a regular basis, trust me, the leads will turn into customers very, very quickly. But you have to build that volume of connections, that volume of relationships before you can actually start seeing a snowball effect in the volume of sales. If you're expecting to reach out to people, pitch them, and try to close a sale on month one, it just doesn't work at scale. And what I mean by that is most people are not successful at that. But when they go and spend 2-3 months nurturing that relationship, being gentle, being welcoming, and so on, and then kind of start, in the 4, 5, 6 months, that's when you're actually going to start seeing more success. And some people don't do any outreach aside from connecting at the beginning, and they just provide content and let people come to them. That's the inbound approach. The ones that are a bit more aggressive, it's a longer term play, in my opinion. But people do all sorts of things on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I love what you shared. I love what you shared, and I'm gonna try actually because normally I will have a message. I found that the one that get accepted the most is, "Hey, well, LinkedIn recommended you to me," and
Yep.
and so I actually blame it on LinkedIn. So I'll
Yes.
say like,
Yes.
"Hey, LinkedIn recommended your profile to me. I thought to connect. Wish you a great day." Something like this. And I
Yeah.
found that is the was the one that got the highest responses, or then the other one was, hey, we are in the same industry. I love to connect.
That's something quite important what you just said. Being in the same industry, it makes a lot of sense. Again, sometimes you're selling your product to an industry and you're indirectly in that industry because you're developing a product or service for them.
Mm.
But What I would say is something that I think people miss is that, especially when you're approaching senior staff in companies, you got to think about a couple of things. Number one is that they're busy. They are not really active on LinkedIn. And if they are, no problems, but they only really want to talk to senior people. So my connection requests, connecting to other CEOs, is a lot higher than a salesperson that says sales, in their title or their headline, trying to reach out to me, right? So you got to think about at what level are you, and at what level are you going to, that you're approaching, that you're going to have the most response. And I think people miss that. They said, "Oh, I'll just reach out to all the CEOs in New York because I'm blah blah blah." Listen, nobody cares who you are unless you're a CEO. Don't talk to me. I'm not interested. I don't care what you're selling. I got little time. And again, it's all that targeting. It's thinking about testing. Okay, I've approached 100 people like this. What was my response rate? What was my approach? Did I get any negative feedback, and so on and so forth? The next 100, I'm going to try it differently. But when people are just creating a campaign, they're putting 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 leads, and they're not optimizing over time. Hey, like you did it wrong for the first one. You did it wrong for the fifth, 500th person. You got to do it wrong all along, and you got to blame. I'm not saying you got to blame yourself. You just take the time to even prep all of this and test it all manually before you actually scale. Because, as I said, all the software does is scale what you do. It doesn't improve it. It doesn't make the messaging better. And I don't care what people say about ChatGPT and all this nonsense, because it's all nonsense as far as I'm concerned right now. And the AI is just not there for these things. So try it manually. If it starts to work, see if you can scale it. Instead of doing 10 invites a day, you're doing 100, and so on and so forth, and you should get higher
You
results.
can grow in that way. Martin, this has been great. I wanna say for everyone to there is a link in the show notes. Have a go to check Meet Alfred. As I mentioned, I love the software. There are a few features that I use, as we talked about automated connection request. I use Sales Navigator, which also means that I can connect the lead search that I have on Sales Navigator into Meet Alfred and then send those connections. Um, Sending valuable content or invitation to events that I'm doing is another things I use MeetAlfred for. And another feature that you've added recently, which I absolutely love, is the automated invites to LinkedIn events. Because invites to LinkedIn events is tedious.
Very,
It
very,
was tedious.
yeah.
And when I
No,
saw
look,
that feature popping up, I was like, I remember responding to the newsletter that when you announced it, and one of your staff was like, "Thank God that you've done this." And they said, "Oh, thank you for letting us know."
yeah. Look, at the end of the day, we've been first in a lot of things when it comes to launching. We were the first ones to do email, the first one to do LinkedIn CRM, the first ones to do multi-channel, the first ones to do invites to events, and so on and so forth. We try to pioneer. There is a kind of a diminishing return period that we're on now, because there's just not much more you can do on LinkedIn that we can't, to some degree, automate. But again, if your audience takes anything away from this interview, is simply treat these people that you're approaching as real potential customers and people that you really want to do business with, and don't treat them as a number. Be gentle in your approach, be professional in your approach, and iterate over time. Don't do everything at scale from day one. Just grow into it. And when you find the formula that works for you, in your case, the events work, and so on and so forth, scale it. But until then, there's no need for tooling. There's no need for anything. You got to become a better LinkedIn user.
All right, that's brilliant, Martin. Thank you very much for this interview. Thank you for taking the time. Really, really appreciate it. For
Anytime.
everyone who is interested in taking Meet Alfred for a test ride, there is my link in the chat, in the comments or in the show notes. You'll see that this is my affiliate link. I'll get $10 off. You get $10 off. You can test it out. Go test out for get it out for a test ride, and then see also the features that it has. I use a lot of the CRM, so all the conversation that I will have are through the CRM. I can tag people as well, so then the people that are responded, are interested, I can create a separate list. So there is really a system that you're using instead of using like LinkedIn as a platform where you have to manually then remember who you told to, unless you're using Sales Navigator. Incredible feature. So Keep up the great work. Love the
Thank
company,
you.
love the software, and thanks again.
Awesome. Have a great day.
All right.